Negative emotions come from inside you. This is one of the most difficult, yet most liberating, truths a person can ever accept. We are conditioned from childhood to believe that when we feel frustrated, angry, or disappointed, the cause resides outside of us, in the traffic, in the boss, in the difficult relationship, or in the broken promise. But this foundational belief is a profound spiritual misunderstanding. Negative emotions are not contained in external situations. The deepest wisdom reveals that negative emotions are not caused by other people or other situations. They are universally, infallibly caused by your response to other situations. They are the result of an internal choice you make, often unconsciously, about how to interpret the external event. The world simply presents circumstances, you assign the emotional quality. The external event is the trigger, the internal choice is the bullet. The true cause of suffering is not the circumstance itself, but the internal expectation that was violated by the circumstance. When reality does not match your mental picture of how things should be, the gap between expectation and reality is filled with the vibration of a negative emotion. The 2-day experiment, the power of choice. Consider a perfect, simple example: the same person, 2 different days, facing the same external circumstance. Day 1. This person has had a terrible morning. They woke up late, had an argument with their partner, spilled coffee on their shirt, and are already feeling the heavy energy of being behind. They rush out the door, desperate to make up time, and they encounter a major traffic jam. Instantly, they are consumed by anger, frustration, and tension. They grip the wheel, curse the other drivers, and feel their entire body tighten. The traffic jam is an absolute catastrophe because it violated their expectation of an easy, timely commute. Day 2. The same person wakes up refreshed. They had a lovely, unrushed breakfast with their family, spent time meditating, and left with plenty of time to spare. They are driving to work in a state of calm and ease. They then encounter the exact same traffic jam. This time, it doesn't bother them at all. They see it as a chance to listen to a podcast, catch up on a personal thought, or simply enjoy the stillness. They have no expectation of speed, only of arrival. In the second instance, the situation is completely neutral. In the first, it was hell. In both cases, the external event, the traffic jam, was identical. This proves conclusively that the negative emotion does not come from the situation. The difference lies solely in the internal state of the individual. This demonstrates the spiritual sovereignty you possess. You are always free to choose the quality of your emotional life. In the first scenario, the person chose to become angry, not because the traffic made them, but because their pre-existing internal tension aligned with the external resistance, and they unconsciously selected anger as their response to the violation of an expectation. They could have, with the same effort, chosen non-resistance and acceptance. The sovereignty of feeling. Nobody makes you feel anything. Now, understand this. Nobody makes you feel anything. Nobody makes you feel angry. Nobody makes you feel tense. Nobody makes you feel upset. We use this language constantly. You made me mad, that situation stressed me out. I can't be happy until this changes, but this language is fundamentally disempowering. It sacrifices your spiritual sovereignty and places your internal peace in the hands of the outside world, which is the most chaotic and unreliable steward of your well-being. You always decide how you're going to feel. This decision may happen in a split second, fueled by habit, memory, or previous conditioning, but it is a decision nonetheless. The moment you blame an external source for your internal state, you become a victim. You hand the keys to your emotional well-being to a traffic light, a rude comment, or a cloudy day. And then, if you're not careful, you will fall into a negative habit pattern of blaming the other person. This is the subtle, seductive trap of the ego. The ego cannot tolerate the responsibility of its own creation. It prefers to point outward, finding a comfortable justification for the discomfort it feels. But every time you point the finger, you reinforce the chain that binds you to that negative emotion. This act of sacrificing your internal power for the temporary relief of external justification is an act of spiritual suicide. It means you have willingly chosen to make your highest self subservient to the lowest, most fleeting circumstances. The root of the problem, blame, is the core. This brings us to the core of this transformative wisdom. Blame is the core of all negative emotions. Blame is the invisible thread that connects your internal feeling to an external source. It is the lifeblood of anger, the justification for resentment, the defense mechanism of fear, and the fuel for anxiety. Blame keeps the entire ecosystem of negative emotion alive and thriving. When you say, "I am angry because they did this," you are essentially saying, "My peace is dependent on their behavior," a statement that is both logically and spiritually absurd. This false dependency is the root of all codependency and conflict, permeating relationships, workplaces, and global politics. The moment you choose to stop blaming, you have fundamentally addressed the root cause of your emotional suffering. When you stop blaming, you've cut down the negative emotion tree. You don't have to prune the leaves of resentment, or worry about the branches of frustration. You cut it off at the base, you kill it, and all the negative emotions die simultaneously because their source of nourishment, the external justification, is gone. The silence that follows the death of blame is the sound of true freedom. The practice of spiritual sovereignty. How, then, do we execute this shift from blame to sovereignty? It begins with a dedicated practice of mindful observation and non-resistance. This is not a one-time event, it is a moment-by-moment commitment to internal truth. Stop and witness. The next time you feel a surge of anger or frustration, pause. Do not immediately react. Simply witness the emotion rising within you. Ask yourself, where is this feeling located in my body? Do not label it good or bad, simply observe the physical sensation, the heat in your chest, the tension in your jaw. This simple act of witnessing creates a sacred space between the stimulus and your response. Locate the trigger and the expectation. Now, acknowledge the external trigger, the traffic, the word, the expectation. But immediately follow that acknowledgement with this internal statement: the situation is the trigger, but my response is the creation. My suffering is caused by my expectation that things should be different. Identifying the violated expectation dissolves the intellectual justification for the emotion. Withdraw the blame. Consciously withdraw the blame you assign to the outside source. Do not say, "The traffic is bad." Say, "I am choosing to feel tense because I believe I should be moving faster." The truth is always that you are choosing the feeling. Recognize that blaming someone else is simply a short-circuiting of your own divine power. Re-choose your response. Once you have claimed ownership of the feeling, you can choose a new one. This doesn't mean forcing artificial happiness. It means choosing a higher frequency, such as acceptance, equanimity, or unconditional love. Choose non-resistance, which is the deepest expression of spiritual faith. When you choose non-resistance, you are trusting the universal flow, acknowledging that the present moment, however uncomfortable, is precisely as it must be. In the traffic jam, you choose equanimity. This is simply the flow of the universe right now, and I choose peace in the face of non-movement. By consciously interrupting the habitual blame response cycle, you reclaim your power and establish spiritual sovereignty. You move from being a victim of circumstance to being a master of your emotional destiny. This profound internal transformation is the doorway to living a life defined by peace, regardless of what the external world presents. You cannot control the wind, but you can always adjust your sails. That decision, the internal adjustment, is the genesis of true freedom.